Hello YouTubers, you're watching Crafts at Home with Lisa. I'm Lisa. Firstly, I must apologise to you for not bringing a video out in the last week or so. It's simply because I've been doing my daughter's getting married. It was a last minute booking and she's given us 6 weeks. So I'm currently doing her a bouquet to go on top of her wedding cake. So I just wanted to show you to start with. I had a little bit of trouble. And I've left it. Bear with me, folks. I'll just go and grab this. Bear with me. Right, sorry about that, folks. I was missing these. So I was looking through YouTube, the internet, and I don't know where to find. I haven't got the time, and I don't want to wait for moulds to make ferns. So I made my own kind of. All I did was got some muddy clay, if you can see the lines on that, and I made two. Well, I actually did one big one and then cut it in half. I was going to put a piece across the middle there to make the main vein of the plant, but I took it off and thought, no, I won't need that, but actually I did. So I've had to wrap some 26 gauge sculpting wire in the middle of it, florist wire, sculpting wire, whatever you'd like to call it. And then basically we sandwich it after we've cut it. So I found one big piece of paper, and I found it with a fern on that I liked the look of, which I've also misplaced. I thought I'd picked it up, but I haven't. And I cut out the leaves. Now it's supposed to have another 2 leaves each side, but they were so small that I just felt like it. I tried it with them, and I just felt like it looked better without them. Okay, so we're going to go through the first process of this. So print it off. Just a fern the size that you like. I mean, if you want big, small, which it's entirely up to you. And then from there, you want to cut the leaves off. So you should have 2 each side, okay? And 1 to start with at the very top. So all I do then is number 2. I know it goes from 1 to 4 each, 1 to 5 each side. So there's a 5. Hence why my fingers are green. Please don't judge me. It's been so hectic here trying to sort out wedding dresses and all things like that. And of course, my daughter is still pregnant, so he's due any time now. So we're just waiting. So it's been a bit of a nightmare trying to buy wedding dresses and whatnot. So hence why I haven't released a video. And I know it's not fair, and I do apologise, but I honestly couldn't help it. Now, pointy tools are ideal for this. So if you've got, I don't know, a cocktail stick, anything like that, it will help you no end, because they're easier to scoop things up with. Okay, so if you can see that now, we've got 1 to 5 all the way down there. Stick them down so they're nice and stuck, because you don't want them coming up when you're trying to cut. Now, it doesn't matter if they're exact on the size-wise when you've cut them. It doesn't matter at all if you can see them. Okay, it really doesn't matter, because once you've cut them, I mean, they're different. You never see a leaf the same size, do you? So with your knife, just a rough cut around each piece that you've cut out. All I do for the bottoms is just wiggle the knife. I mean, to be honest, it's not really a big issue. You could not possibly do this, but I like to do this because it just gives it that nice bit of a bit of an edge in. Okay, so if one comes up, don't worry, because you've pushed it down quite firmly into the clay. You'll have a line. So all I'm doing is just following. Oh, there's another one gone. Following the lines round, moving the knife. I'm only holding the knife loosely, but I do have control over it. So this way of doing it is going to save you money for going out and buying moulds, unless of course you wanted to. But I did look, but what I found was the moulds weren't big enough. They were quite small. So, and they were like £15–16 for a small one. And yes, it got the veinner on it and everything, and they were lovely. But the other thing I didn't like about it, it would have made them all exactly the same, which is not really what I want to do. So literally just a rough cut into whatever you want shape, like so. And when you're done at the end, don't forget to do another I've done it as a number 5, because the small, I'll show you when I get there, but the number 5 is the one that comes when you start with a number 5. I will show you in this one how to do wrapping and wrap the stems, which I'll be wrapping in green because you don't get brown bits in the middle of my stems on my ones that I want to use. Double check and do your research though, because it depends. If it's one that you like, a specific one, I do apologise, it might have brown stem or something like that, so you do want to just double check. Now there's the one that I'm just going to pop in the middle there. I keep them in order so that we don't lose them, and then cook them to what your manufacturer of your clay says, and then when they come out we'll go through that in a moment. Now the next video I'm going to make will be how to make a ruscus leaf, holly leaf, and a sorry, that's my timer gone on, last few going in the oven. Well, I've got this one that's got to go in the oven. A ruscus leaf, a holly leaf, and a rose leaf. So I will do that in the next video, but I shan't show you how to wrap in the next video because we're going to do it in this one. So just pick them off like so. Again, use your little knife, or you can use your pointy tool. Ooh. Like so. Okay, now you're going to pull off all the excess because we don't need all that, and that you can keep hold of for either some more or something else. But for this actual fern leaf that we're doing, we don't need no more. So just pull it off like that. Make sure it doesn't take them all up, because sometimes if you don't catch it right to the edge, it can take one with it. So you should have 11 left. Just pop that over there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, so now we've got our 11 leaves. So what we're going to do is, I bought this roll off of Amazon. It was £4.49 for I don't know how many metres of it, but it's 26 gauge, which is brilliant. And then I literally just come along and cut it. You don't need massive ones, just short ones. Okay, and then I put them in a little pot here. And then we're going to tip some of them out because we're going to use some of them. These are a nightmare to grab hold of once you've tipped them out. So I'm going to put them on one of them back tiles. We only need 10 because that's all the leaves we've got. Okay, and I do believe I need a long one. So I'll cut a big long one in a moment. Right, okay, so with this we're going to use Fimo liquid clay because I don't want the stems to come out. I don't want the metal bits to come out. So what we do is just put that down here. I just take the lid off, which I know is very dangerous, especially for me, because I'm so clumsy. And then you're going to, one by one, we're going to firstly shake this on because we don't want any of it to stick, which is what will happen. Okay, so as we pick it up, we can just rub it in. It doesn't matter. You could use water. People use all sorts of things. So, right, see, just give it a little rub. And then with what's spare, just the other side as well, because once you put them in the mould, they can be a bit of a nightmare. Okay, so with one of the wires, we're going to dip it in the liquid clay. You don't want a huge amount, so rub it around the top. I'm going to flatten that down, and I'm just going to push it in. Now, squeeze it between these two fingers so you can feel where the wire is going. And then with his fingers, you're just going to bend it backwards and forwards so that you can control, if it goes too deep one side, you can feel it. Okay? That's probably a bit like so. And then because that's the first one, number 1, we're going to put that over there with the number 1s. Well, as a number 1. Okay. Now I have been using a lot of corn flour, but simply because it's a homemade like veiner, it does stick, so just be aware of it. It is good, and I've used it in my muddy clay, which is what you want. Okay, and I can feel that again, so just push it in, and then I put them tails out, like so. And then we just literally go through all 11 of them and do exactly the same. So you're going to lay them out exactly the same. Picking up some of this to go on the inside, like so. And there we go. And in there. Like so. Try and keep the wires straight if you can, but once they're cooked, I mean, it doesn't really worry too much. I've been keeping mine in little plastic containers once they've been through the oven. This is a very white one. Nothing to worry about though, it will come off. Yeah, putting them in, and they don't fit, so I've had to bend the ends over once they've been cooked. But I mean, it doesn't cause them any problems. Okay. There we go. So what I'll do is I'll get these ones done and then I'll come back to you in a second. Right, hi folks, so that's all 11 done. They look quite white at the moment, but don't worry, by the time we've been through these it'll just disappear. So I'm going to put the lid on that now because we're not going to use any of that anymore. So I won't need any of that just yet, but that's the next step. Right, so with my 2 moulds, I literally just used this and just kept going across it like this until I got the look that I liked of a fern. A bit's all stuck in it, but it doesn't matter too much about those, unless you don't want transfer of colour, then you really need to sort of watch what's sticking in it. Okay, so just carried on like that, and then I baked it. Now you don't have to bake that and then take a mould of it and then bake it again, because the negative is in with the positive because of the lines. Okay, so what we're going to do is keep that in our hand, and we're going to get the first one, which is the biggest one. I always start at the top. Now little bits do overhang, but I'm not too worried about it. And then line that up. I know that the wire comes to there, that point there, and the wire comes to that point there. So it needs to go over just a little bit, like so. Now this is the fun part, trying to line up this to that. Oh, I've just moved it. So that, and then that. Okay, so try and go to the top of the leaf, and then with that piece of wire at the bottom, to the bottom of the leaf. Now it's a bit hit and miss, and some of them are not directly in the middle, but I'm not too worried about that. If I wanted something like that, it would be easier if you did it in a square, then you could fit the square on top of each other, and that would ensure that you'd get it the same every time. But that's not really what I'm after. I'm looking for a little bit of variation. Squeezing it together like a sandwich, and then gently pulling it apart, and there you go, we've got the first part of the leaf. So with my pointy tool, I just come along here, any bits that have been missed, just kind of fill it in, and go over the edges, because that gives it just that little bit extra, makes it look a little bit more real. There you go. Now this is on, I've got a Jamie Oliver pasta machine, so I've rolled that through on the thickest setting that Jamie Olivers do, which is not massive, I have to say. It's a really nice size. And then to get it off, all you've got to do is, because I used this to make the grooves, just run them down the grooves and go underneath it and lift it off. Very, very simple, look. And then turn it round and do the same the other side. Now don't forget you've got that wire, or I've got that wire down the middle. So, okay, so there's your leaf. So you've got both sides done. So all I do is just give it a little bit of life, and then it goes on the tile, which is a new tile over there, which we'll bring over here and put it here so you can see. So there you go, there's number one. Don't worry about the wires, I'm not going to touch them really and bend them back into place until after I've done and they've been in the oven. Okay. So there's the first bit, lining it up. If you push it down a little bit firmly on the first bit, it will sort of kind of stick to it a little bit, which gives you a little bit more play when you're trying to move it about to line it up. This kit is a little bit fiddly, I'm not going to lie. Like I say, if you was to do it square, it would be easy to line up. So there you go. So looking at both ends, just again, give it a squeeze, like so, and then Gently lift it off, because sometimes it sticks to one and not the other, and sometimes it sticks to the other and not the one. Along the edges, because you want to give it that nice sort of rippled edge. It gives it a little bit more of a realistic rippled edge. Now if one bit comes apart, just push it back together. It's a rustic looking, I don't want a perfect looking, see how you can see a gap there. So all I've been doing is just squeezing them back together, like so, and then just gently pushing down on my pointy tool, which sticks them back together. Okay. Don't forget though, when it comes to lifting them off, don't forget you've stuck those two back down. Okay, there you go. That's the second one. So you're going to do that all the way through on all 11. Oh, tail out. I like mine to be tail out. It's just the way I like it. It's just I like to have things in order. So again, we're going to do it again. So line up the tip, line up the back, push them down a little bit firmer. And then we're going to pick up this bit and we're going to line the top up, which doesn't work because it's missing half of it. Let's try it the other way around. Okay, we try that again. Top up and the bottom up. The more you do it, the easier it will become. It's a little bit fiddly to start with, but I've done, this is my 12th set of ferns. So there you go, and there it is. Remember, any bits you've missed slightly, just mark it in. And there's no finesse with this bit, just mark it, turn it round, mark it, hoof it out. Okay, I'm very happy with that. When you're happy with it, I mean, you could spend as much time as you wanted to, or as little time as you wanted to. I just wanted to bring the video to say that you can make your own moulds, and it's easy enough to do. It's not overly awkward or hard. It's everybody can do it. Anybody can do it. Rather than paying for a mould, see the end's coming loose on that one. But don't forget, when you go into the oven, it will toughen down and stick. Okay. Yeah, I just wanted something that everybody could use, everybody could make, and it didn't cost the earth. And you can use your muddy clay. Everybody's got a bit of muddy clay. That's all that's left over from all the bits and bobs and everything. Oh, that's my dog. Okay, squeeze again, quite firmly. You don't want it ever so flat though, so don't over press it, because it will go all funny and too flat. Okay, so what I'm going to do is finish this one, and then I'm going to pause you, finish these ones off, and then I will meet you back. And what we're going to do is we're going to look at starting to unwrapping them so they end up looking like a proper fern. Okay, and just gentle fold, and there you go. Alright, so I'll be back in a second. Right, hi folks, so this is what you should be left with. A tile full of what you've done there, look. Okay. And that's all the fern leaves, so you should have 11. Sorry, I'm just going to open this because it sort of blocks out my natural light. Okay, so this is what we're going to have after you've baked them. So we're going to move them over here, ready to be baked. And this is what you're left with. So I pop them into here so I can know, because you've got to keep all 11 together. That's really important. Okay. So what we're going to do, I've put them into order of what order they are, and now we're going to do some wrapping. So this is floristry tape, which you want. You can buy it from Amazon or anywhere like this. This is just a roll I got ages ago. Now I'm told that I'm advised that you need to wrap these into, or cut these into 4, but I haven't been. Half is enough for me, otherwise I feel like I'll be wrapping forever. Secret wrapper. Okay. I'm just going to go up here. Like I mentioned earlier on, we're going to be doing a video on ruscus leaves, on how to do those, ivy and rose petal leaves. I won't be wrapping them because I'm going to show you how to do wrapping in this one. And this is not something that I generally do on a daily basis, folks, so please don't judge me. I'm just giving you an idea of how we go about it, okay? I think it looks okay, but you sort of need to decide. So next thing we need is a big long piece, because we've got to attach it to whatever it is we're attaching it to. And on the 26 gauge, because it's quite thin, I like to double it up. Okay. So just fold it over, double it up. That might be a bit overzealous to how much we need, because ferns are quite close together, the ones I've chosen. So I'm going to go and take it back to there. Don't throw away your bits of offcuts, because you can cut them into the wires that go through the ends. Okay, so there we go. I'll squeeze that together. And we're going to use that in a moment. First, what we're going to do is go through and we're going to wrap up each leaf. This is quite a tedious job. So just start it at the end. Don't panic if you can't get it right up to the leaf. It really doesn't matter, and you're just going to... Starting it is a nightmare, I have to say. It's not one of my favourite things to do. But once you've got it going, you can really sort of fire down them. So you don't want to make these too long when you're making them. Otherwise you'll be there forever. And to be honest, the ferns that I've chosen don't have extremely long stems. Okay, so just roll it, and then you're going to push upwards, which will push it up against the leaf. Okay, so that bit there, I'm going to get my little cutters and I'm going to cut it off. For being such a nightmare, it can't be included. Okay, so these what I'm doing at the moment are little fern things, and they're going to be, oh, that's my dog, they're going to be on the tables, which are going to match all the same sort of flowers is in the bouquet which is going on the cake, which is the same as her actual bouquet which we're making. So I'm doing them in clay so they don't sort of break or anything like that. So there we go, there's the first one. So it's just a case of going down all of them and doing exactly the same thing. So I hold it there and then I start wrapping it like that, just to start with. But then if you get far enough down where you can twirl it, like so, it's actually quicker and it pulls it nice and tight. The first couple you do will probably end up being quite baggy. Don't worry, we've all been there. I'm still there on some of them. So again, push it up. Don't forget to push that up, otherwise it won't meet your leaf. I'm going to use them big ones and cut that off. Okay, if it is a little bit baggy, don't worry, it will sort itself out. Now you could, if you wanted to, take this round and use that around the top. Like so. Okay, now we can go back down and then you move to the next one. So what I'm going to do, folks, is I'm going to do all of these and then I'll meet you back at the end when I've done this. Okay, see you in a minute. Right, okay, YouTubers, so I got my piece of wire and I've wrapped each one like I showed you earlier, and I've got a long piece of this, which is the wax tape. I forgot to mention earlier on, the more you squeeze the wax tape together, the more it will stick. It will stick to itself, so don't panic too much about that, okay? And we're going to start with the top end that's, if you can see that. I'm going to zoom you in just a little bit. Okay, so you can see the top end, look, is hooked over. And we're going to start with this one, which was the very first one. Now what I've done is bent all mine down, because that is how they attach onto my piece of my fern. Okay, so just put it alongside like that and then start wrapping. So you don't need to go too far down depending on which fern you've chosen. The leaves are quite close together. So literally just start wrapping like so. So you're going to go all the way down, and at the same time you're going to add 2 and 2. Okay, which sounds worse than it is. Please don't panic. It's not as bad as you think. Okay, so give it a squeeze, because we know that that sticks to itself, and push it upwards. Okay, so the first one you're going to do the bottom 2, the smaller 2, because it goes from smaller to larger. Okay, so you're going to just put them together like so, and hold them like that, and you're going to just add it to like so. Okay, and then you're just going to carry on wrapping, coming round the front and going around like that. Okay, and you're going to come down about another, I don't know, centimetre from those, and then we're going to do it again. Like so, give it a squeeze, make sure it's well sort of on there. Okay, and then we're going to grab the next 2, which are these 2. Put them together again, like so, give them a bit of a squeeze, and then we're going to add those 2, and then we're going to carry on wrapping. Next one below, look, try and get it underneath. It's not very easy, but because of the wires it means you can bend them about. Okay, and then below that one, pull it a little bit tight, not tight enough to snap it, but because although it doesn't matter, you just carry on and stick a new piece to it, and then carry on down like so. And then when you get a little bit further down, about just perhaps a centimetre down to there, look, then we're going to grab the next 2 up, the next size, and we're going to keep doing this until we've got all of them on there. Okay, so make sure you've got them sort of side by side is the easiest thing, and then squeeze them like so, and then put them on there again. Now what will end up happening is you'll be able to sort of hold them like that as against the other way this time. Okay, so we're going to go underneath like we did before, as tight up to them as we can, underneath the leaf, there we go, like so. I'm squeezing as we go, like that. Then in the next 2, and then just sort of squeeze them together so they're sort of parallel to each other. And the wax tape, like I say, it will stick itself to itself. So we want a nice gap between each one, but not too far. Now there is a little bit of play in it. When you've done, you can squeeze a little bit sort of down and up and whatnot, and because of the wires you'll be able to move them into place. Okay, so don't worry about that. Okay, so that's far enough for me, and now it's the last 2 going on. There we go. So I'm going to squeeze them together a little bit, and then this one's a little bit more awkward because my hands are small. There we go. And then we're going to just carry it on, try and get as close up underneath those leaves as you can, and then just carry on. Now you're going to go straight past the end of the leaves here, and you're going to keep going down a little bit, because when you put them into whatever it is you're putting them into, I mean these are going into my table displays, you want something to tape it all together with, and if you've just got a wispy piece of this, it's not going to be enough to hold it, but you do need it to have something along the bottom that you can sort of put it all together and then wrap the wax tape around it all. Okay, so see how it's gone slightly baggy there? It doesn't matter, because if you come along and squeeze it, it will squeeze into itself like so. Okay, and that's enough for that. So I am going to cut that off like so, and there you have it, your ferns. So there, squeeze it in. Don't cut these off until the last minute because you might need them to taper them on. So turn them up slightly and put them into your angled wherever you want to put them, in whichever direction you want them, like so. I like mine just facing just slightly up, like that. And there you go, ladies and gentlemen, one fern. And it's not cost you anything at all. Just a printout of a fern that you like, cut it out, a little bit of time, making the moulds like we did. Don't forget to put your centre one along there because I've had to put a piece of wire on mine on each side. But I mean, it doesn't matter, it's not caused any problems. It's just trying to be inventive in what you've got. So don't go out and buy moulds, you don't need them. Just have a go at them yourself. So thanks for watching. Next video I'm going to release is going to be other different leaves that we're going to make out of clay. Excuse me, with some more moulds that we've made and some that we've actually got from somewhere else. Chocolate moulds, actually, they were, or chocolate. I think they were in a box of chocolates a few years ago. And I'm not one for throwing anything out. If it's got a pattern on it, I'll keep it, because one day it will come in handy, and so it has. So thanks for watching. Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any other videos, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye bye.